When I got to the bed, what's up, home dog?
That whistle is fire, bro. Hold on.
Authority. When I got to the bed.
We got a new patrickcc video, Almost Out of Hell, Trejo's redemption story.
It seems like
Trejo.
every other week, a new celebrity's shadowy past of crime and degeneracy is being exposed to the masses. However, for Danny Trejo, he was open and honest about his crimes from the very beginning. You see, for the past 40 years, Danny has been typecast as a gangster, a prisoner, or an overall violent Chicano criminal, but he was not playing a character. This is actually who Danny was. For the first 27 years of Trejo's life, if you looked at him the wrong way, you might end up in a body bag, which led to him spending most of his days in federal prison. What separates Danny from all the Hollywood criminals who tried to mask their crimes with movies and money is because of what he did after he got out of prison. When you hear Danny's story, you will be shocked he made it out alive, let alone this successful and beloved. Hollywood could not poison Trejo because he had already been to the lowest point any human could go, and the way he survived this darkness is nothing short of a miracle. Danny Trejo was introduced to heroin at just 12 years old by his uncle Gilbert.
No way, bro. A 12-year-old with heroin, bro. That's
who
just
was
like
only 6 years older than
that's just
Danny.
like these kids with the fent, bro. Y'all gotta be.
I caught him shooting heroin. I threatened to tell on him if he didn't
Weed
give me
at
some.
8?
My grandfather was a tyrant, and I remember one time I was like, I was just around about 12, and me and my uncle were standing there, and my grandfather was screaming at us, and I'm like, because I know he's gonna hit me, and I'm almost ready to crap my pants, you know, I'm like squeezing so I won't, because I know he's gonna hit me, and I happened to glance over my uncle, and my uncle is looking at
Is that a paddock on his wrist?
death in the face, and he's like
nodding
Or
off.
Richard Milley, I mean?
he's nodding.
Richard Milley, I mean?
And I'm like, oh my God.
I think Richard Milley is the one with that square
This is the baddest dude in the world. My grandfather got so mad at my uncle going down like this that he, and he walked into his room, slammed the door, and I'm like looking at Gilbert, and then Gilbert wakes up, hey, did he hit us? You know, I wanted to be just like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that a 12-year-old's brain associated nodding off on heroin as this way to become a fearless badass. The reason Danny lived with his grandparents in the first place was because his father obtained full custody of him, then stabbed a man and went to prison, effectively making him an only child to be raised by his gangster grandfather and his drug-addicted delinquent uncle. Things escalated from there, with Trejo developing a drug and alcohol dependency and joining Gilbert in robberies and drug deals, which resulted in a childhood where Danny was in and out of juvenile detention centers.
First time I went to juvenile halls, 12, 13.
12 years old, and it was just petty stuff back then, or is it?
Everything was petty. I mean, just anything you did. You know, fighting and assault, strong arm robbery. Like if you take money from a paper boy, it's strong arm robbery. Give me it, or I'll beat you up. That's strong arm robbery. You know? So you just get in trouble, and that was just the way of life. We just got in trouble. You know, I got thrown out of middle school, Pacoima Junior Middle School, about 11 times for being intoxicated.
Sometimes that's all people know, bro. That's why they stay in that cycle. That's all they know.
You had a middle school with 4 different neighborhoods in it. So
and then the gangs. You said you were in a gang, weren't you?
Well, Pacoima. I was from Pacoima. I was from this neighborhood. So basically, that's the gang.
Although today we associate Southern Los Angeles with having a heavily organized gang culture,
Bro, nah, son.
we associate Southern Los Angeles.
I don't care, bro. Oh my God, that's the nastiest tattoo I think I've ever seen in my life, bro. On your mustache, bruh? Or I guess top of your mouth, bro, because you don't got a mustache. What does that even say? Marrow? Like, what? What kind of tattoo is that? And then look at the dog. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my God. I would have shot the fucking tattoo artist, bro. Golly, this is, well, then again, you actually have to choose the tattoo and give it to your tattoo artist. That's a terrible tattoo, though. That's what I'm trying to say, bro. Oh my goodness.
with having a heavily organized gang culture, back in the 50s it wasn't as organized and official. Regardless, Los Angeles was still riddled with very dangerous men who sold drugs, robbed and assaulted people as a means to obtain power and control of the neighborhoods they resided in. From robbing liquor stores with live grenades, drive-by shootings, to violent assaults, Danny Trejo just thought this was a normal way to live.
I just said that.
Got
Sometimes people just don't know.
So, I started
what's on the
fighting,
other side, bro.
A fight to
That's
me
why they
is
stay
to
like
win.
this.
So I grabbed a bottle and I stabbed them. They were
Bro, is that a
hurt.
Richard
I
Mille
laughed.
watch, bro?
Then the cops came pick me up. And
I think paddocks are circular.
I remember I had on a yellow shirt.
I think Richard Mille did that
and
whole
a pair
like
of khaki
boxing.
pants. And I put
I'm
them
looking
down
up.
and went to bed.
I'm
They were
listening.
like just covered in blood, So I remember the cops said, "Wear that," put me back in the. I went to get some different clothes, and then we went back to jail.
Danny would be arrested and incarcerated
bruh.
multiple times throughout his youth, and in that time he developed a reputation as someone you did not want to mess with.
So I started building a reputation.
That's a Richard Mille watch right there. So I think that is a Richard Mille watch he's wearing.
And people talk juvenile hall, camp, youth authority, prison. Your reputation follows you, and it's good to have a bad reputation.
To add to the craziness of Danny's life story, during a brief stint in the county in 1961, Trejo even crossed paths with the notorious cult leader Charles Manson, describing him
Charles Manson? Nah, that's crazy.
as a dirty, greasy, scrawny white boy. However, once Trejo reached adulthood, the consequences of his actions would be more severe. And in 1965, when Trejo was just 19 years old, he finally met his fate. While he maintains that it was nothing but sugar to this day, Danny was arrested for selling heroin to federal agents working undercover, which earned him a 10-year prison sentence.
18.
But Danny did not fear prison. He had already spent most of his days behind bars, and this is where he expected his life to lead to.
When you got to prison, though, what did was that a fearful thing for you?
No, because
what was that like the first time you actually went to the
Tony, if you grow up in the system, okay, it's like you, okay, you played Pop. Well, I don't know if you played Pop Warner.
Yeah, I played Pop
okay,
Warner.
played Pop Warner. Then you played high school. Then you played college. Then you went to the NFL. So now when you
He's right. I understand where he's going with this before he's even saying. He's saying like there's a pipeline, bro.
you weren't
From where you start, like your environment, there is a pipeline, and that's where he's going with
you
this.
were like, oh, anxious because you knew most of the guys there. You knew some of the guys on that team, and that's the same thing with. I was in juvenile hall, I was in camp, I was in youth authority. When I got to the bit, what's up, home dog?
That whistle is fire, bro. Hold
Youth
on.
authority. When I got to the bit,
That's a fire whistle, bro.
what's up, home? In camp, I was in youth
more time.
authority. When I got to the bit, what's up,
That's
home
so
dog?
cold, bro. That's so cold.
So it's the same kind of a alternate universe.
As a fresh face, Trejo used his boxing training from his childhood to his
why
advantage.
his body crunched up like
teenage
that?
scraps were now saving his life, as his prowess in San
Bro, he
Quentin
looks
was
so
on full
different
display for any challenger
kid,
in
bro.
the yard to test. Being a good boxer got me through the penitentiary. I was the lightweight and welterweight champion at every penitentiary I was in. Now, being a boxing
bad.
champion in prison sounds like some sort of made-up movie plot, but once upon a time in America, prisons actually put somewhat of an effort to reform inmates, which included money and resources for them to participate in organized sports.
We used to have like fights with the Army and the Navy would come in sometimes. They would be exhibitions, but the only
LA
problem
Chargers.
is that damn Mexicans don't understand the exhibition. They'll come like, we got money on you, Holmes. No, wait, it's an exhibition. No, they don't touch it. We got money, Holmes. And so you either had to tell the guy that you were fighting, look, Holmes, go for what you know, or
Go for what you know.
surprise him, you know what I mean? If he looked up, surprise him. And but we had some
those
great
eye
fights.
bags
We
are
had some great fights up there. They took all
insane.
the athletics out of prison. fight. They don't have no more. Now it's just a warehouse for insanity.
Trejo managed to figure out and survive
those
in the
eyebags were
complicated politics
serious.
of prison life because he knew any day in there could be his last.
If people know you really believe that the bottom line to an argument is a murder, well, then they don't want to argue with you. And if you believe that in your heart, then it's like you don't argue. It's like you teachers, there is no such thing as I'm getting mad now. There is happy, sad, and rage. That's it. And you can go from happy to rage or sad to rage because there's no, I'm going to get mad. Because if I'm going to get mad at you, that probably means you're going to sneak up behind me and stab me in the back.
Yes, sir.
So let's get this over with right away. You got to understand, prison is the most right now place there is. There's no future, there's no past. It's like right now. You can die because somebody you didn't know didn't get a letter or got a letter. He can just be running down the tier, see you and stab you. It's like that quick.
Unfortunately, he realized that
That's so crazy because that's actually so fucking true.
life behind bars was turning him into a monster. He did not even recognize himself.
If you're going to be a predator, then you become somewhat of a sociopath, somewhat of an unfeeling. Screw them. I remember an incident where we were playing dominoes. We were playing dominoes for the big game because there's a lot of money on it, and I got a run of fives. And anybody that knows dominoes, I got 4 fives in my hand, and I'm like, look at, and right here, this guy that was watching it had snitched on something, and so boom, 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 boom. They hit him about 6 times in the back with a knife, bang, 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 and he falls on the domino table.
Right.
And I got this run of fives, and I remember going, "Oh my God, wait! I'm trying to push this guy." When somebody gets stabbed, Rob, you have to get away from there because if you're near there, you did it.
Right.
Do you understand? So I'm like,
okay,
no, wait! And everybody's come on, and we got away. I got back to my cell with this damn run of fives. Everybody had thrown their dominoes away. I got into my cell. I still got this damn run of fives, and I was laying there in my cell, and it hit me. What am I becoming?
Despite Danny knowing
That's
how to
kinda
navigate
wild.
the system, make the right connections, and physically defend himself, he would land himself in some trouble that nearly got him the death penalty. At Soledad State Prison in 1968,
Bro, imagine if he actually got the death penalty. We would never knew who this dude was, bro.
the prison baseball team was able to organize an exhibition game
Prison
against
baseball?
an outside baseball team composed of free citizens.
Oh, yikes. Oh, that's a recipe for disaster, bro.
It was Cinco de Mayo, which meant that all of the Mexicans in the prison were drinking, partying, and doing drugs.
We were like on the third
Recipe for fucking
base
disaster. That's
bleachers.
so obvious.
Third base was just right there. And we're looking at him, and he's chewing gum. We're not allowed gum in the penitentiary. Ray had come down from Tescadero. He had a double murder. And he came down, and he was like looking at this guy chew gum, and he was like almost like a little kid. Danny, I want some gum. Hey, puto, give me some gum. This guy turns around. I can't. They told us not to give you guy, and that's as far as he got. Bow.
Wow.
Ray socked it. When something happens in the pen, it just blows up.
After his fellow inmate punched the third baseman, all hell broke loose.
I knew it. Recipe for disaster, bro. Look, bro, I ain't never been to prison. I got family members who have. Them niggas are so fucking sensitive. Yo, okay, let me not even go into that. But like,
Hundreds
bro,
of inmates everywhere
it be the
began
smallest
fighting,
shit you
which
can
looked
start
like
an
a
argument
riot.
over
And
with.
During the chaos, it was alleged that Danny
with a
Trejo
nigga
hit
that's
a
been to
guard
prison, bro.
with a
It's the
rock,
craziest
an
shit ever,
offense
bro.
that got him sent to solitary confinement, aka the hole. The environment of solitary confinement is hauntingly oppressive, a space designed to strip away every sense of normalcy and human connection. Trejo kept himself occupied by revisiting his favorite films in his head, occasionally acting out scenes from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh my god, imagine how crazy that would have seemed. You walking by the fucking solitary confinement unit and you hear this nigga fucking acting out a Wizard of Oz scene. Bro. Hey, bro, we need to get this nigga a straitjacket, bro.
To keep his mind busy. On the brink of insanity, it was at this moment that Danny realized his life was over. He had officially reached rock bottom. He sat in a cell where "God sucks" had been written in feces on the wall, but
Ew, nigga. Oh
Reaching
my.
out to God seemed like the only plausible action to take.
And I remember just asking God, let me die with dignity.
You just
Lord,
write that
just
shit
let
on the
me- I
wall
got a
with your. Oh
reputation. Let me
my.
die with dignity. I will say your name every day, and I will do whatever I can for my fellow man. That was my spot.
And his prayers were answered in a much better way than he anticipated. None of the 3,000 inmates came forward to corroborate the claim made against him that he threw a rock at the guard's head during a riot. Thus, all charges against him were dropped. Trejo was released for parole in August of 1969.
Oh my. Yo, look, bro. Sometimes the no snitching culture can really help niggas out, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
25-year-old had no plan and no real prospects for the future, but he was determined to leave 10 years of crime behind him and prove he was worthy of a second chance. He returned to Pacoma, where his uncle Gilbert tried to lure him back into the game as a drug dealer. Trejo refused. He was focused on trying to become a better person and assimilate back into society. He began working odd jobs in junkyards and even started a gardening business. However, he was able to develop a stable income, becoming a drug counselor for recovering addicts at Western Pacific MedCorp, a place where he still works to this day. His life was not sexy, it was not exciting, but it was humble, safe, and much better than being behind bars.
Oh, he still
For
works
16
here?
years straight after being released from prison, Trejo stayed committed to his promise. He remained sober and dedicated his life to helping others. And it was actually because of one of his noble deeds that he accidentally got a Hollywood career in exchange. Danny mentored a young actor that he met at a Cocaine Anonymous meeting, which, if you don't know, are meetings that recovering addicts attend to surround themselves with others who can relate to and provide comfort with their struggles. Well, one day in 1984, this young actor who was being mentored by Trejo
Coke. Oh my god, an actor on coke. What are the odds, bro?
called him and asked him to come to the movie set because a lot of people were doing cocaine and he was struggling with temptation. Danny went down to watch over the young man and make sure he didn't relapse. Little did Danny know he was about to get himself his first acting gig at the age of 41.
I walked on this set, this guy's
Hey, bro, if Danny Trejo serves as a lesson to any of y'all out there who are watching this shit, don't give up on your dreams, bro. I mean, I don't think he wanted to be an actor off the top of his head, but like, bro started acting at 41. And he's a famous guy. He got money, bro. Don't just give up just because you getting older to social media standards, bro. You see these dudes, they're like 14, 15. They got millions of dollars, bro. That shit ain't real, bro. That's not realistic, bro. Yes, it can happen, but it's not gonna happen for everybody. So just because you're 20 something and you're not there yet doesn't mean it's never gonna happen, bro. That's all I'm saying, bro.
You want to be in this movie? I said, what do I got to do? She says, do you want to be an extra?
There's like,
I said, extra what? He says, can you act like a convict?
act like
So
one.
give it a shot. You know,
Give it a
funny
shot.
level, like, you know, this is your life. You know. Took off my shirt. I got that big tattoo on my chest. I'll never forget. That guy goes like, he goes, wait a minute. He goes, I'm thinking, what kind of stupid gang sign is that? You know, I mean, I give him a P. Fuck you, I'm fucking poema, you know?
The film was called Runaway Train, an action thriller centered around two escaped convicts.
Bro was
On
doing the
set,
Vogue
there was a
thing
man
the
named
whole-
Eddie
hold
Bunker
on.
that recognized
Frame
Danny
him
from
up.
his boxing days at San Quentin. Eddie asked Danny if he could train the star of the movie, Eric Roberts, how to box for the film, and offered him more money in one day training this guy than Danny would typically make in a week. After seeing how well Danny trained Eric, and since Danny looked exactly like an actual criminal, the director realized it made more sense for him to be Eric's opponent in the film. Runaway Train opened the door for Danny to get more acting roles.
I played like inmate number 1, or bad guy number 1, or killer number 1, or tattooed guy number. You know, I always had these, but the director would see me and I would sag, so he would say a line. You know, so that's where I got my training. Really, the first 5 years of my career, I'd say like, or I'd kill that son of a And that's, wow, that was perfect. He loved the way I said it. I said, I've said it before.
Ironically, Trejo was getting paid to pretend to be the person he had been for years, which is what made his roles in films like Heat, Con Air, and Blood In, Blood Out so believable. You have to keep in mind that Trejo was not enamored by the glitz and glam of Hollywood. Sure, he liked acting, but by no means was he like the theater kids who grew up since 12 years old dreaming to one day be on a movie set. He looked at this like an easy job that paid better than anything he could land with his criminal background.
Exactly.
It was the other people around him, directors and producers, that saw much more potential than him just being tough prisoner number 1. The first movie where he actually had a name was Death Wish 4, as Art Sanella. On this set, he made friends with Charles Bronson, who invited him to do another movie called Forbidden Subjects. Making friends and getting referrals was the way Trejo got more work. He basically said yes to every job, leading him to a different movie set every other month.
Everything good that has happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else.
This was his way of life for about 10 years until he finally got a more substantial role that actually gave him a name in Hollywood. And the crazy part is, he didn't even speak. Desperado is a 1995 film directed by Robert Rodriguez, which follows El Mariachi, a guitar-toting gunslinger seeking revenge against a drug lord. Along his journey, he meets Carolina, played by Salma Hayek, who becomes his love interest and ally. Trejo was given the role of Navajas, a fearsome assassin hired by the drug lord Bucho to eliminate El Mariachi. Navajas wields throwing knives with deadly precision. He tracks down Mariachi and nearly kills him, but Mariachi narrowly escapes after a brutal fight that became one of the most iconic and memorable scenes in the film. Desperado grossed $58 million worldwide on a $7 million budget. Trejo's role as Navajo gave him global recognition without having a single word of dialogue.
Rodriguez gave me a compliment one time, and he said, "You can say more with your face than most actors can say with a page of dialogue." That's a hell of a compliment.
That is kind of
but that takes practice.
Wow, that stutter was
like in San Quentin sometimes. I think
was actually kind of fire,
to say, "Hey, I'll kill you," without saying a word.
Also on the set of Desperado was when Danny met Salma Hayek, the woman who had a near one-to-one resemblance of the woman he had tattooed on his chest.
When I saw him for the first time, he saw me and he ran towards me and ripped his shirt off.
That's crazy.
I knew you before I knew you. I dreamt you before I knew you. And there was a picture of a woman that looks exactly like me. The body was a little bit better, but let's pretend.
She being modest.
Exactly like me in his chest. And he said, "I just got out of jail and I'm happy, but for you, I would rob another bank."
The tattoo on Danny's chest has become an iconic piece.
Wait, but he was like in his 40s. I don't know how old she was when that started, so it's kind of like, that's crazy, bruh.
His image. The artist, named Harry, was an inmate Danny met at San Quentin, who asked Danny if he could do his very first tattoo on him with a guitar string.
And I was doing forever, so Harry said, "Hey, let me do this tattoo, Danny." So we did the outline,
right? And
then when he does the outline, I get caught up in some shit in prison in Quentin, and they send me to Folsom. So he says, "Don't let anybody touch it. I'll be in Folsom. I'll be in Folsom." I said, "Okay." So I got to Folsom, I was there, and then about 6 months later, he showed up.
How did he get into Folsom?
He just got kicked out.
Albert Stein is blocked by his whole microphone.
How do you get kicked out of San Quentin prison?
And it's funny, when he got to Folsom, "Hey, it's Trejo here. It's Trejo here." So he did the rest of it, some of it in Folsom, and then there's a big riot in a race riot in Folsom, and they sent me to Soledad. And he said, "Danny, please, man, this is my first tattoo. Let me finish it.
So you went to 3 prisons to get that tattoo.
Danny didn't realize it yet, but after 10 to 12 years in Hollywood, he was officially being typecast. Charles Ramirez Berg, a film professor at the University of Texas at Austin, outlined 6 stereotypes that have defined the representation of Latinos in film over the past century in his book, Latino Images in Films. There's the bandito, the harlot, the buffoon or clown, the Latin lover, and the dark lady. Historically, these archetypes have functioned as a way of putting Latino characters in a box. These archetypes often mocked them, or confined them to roles in which they're the foil or sidekick to a white lead. For most of his career, Danny Trejo played the part of the bandito.
It's about Danny Trejo!
And brown complexion were enough to suggest that he was a bad man, with little to no backstory or dialogue dialogue about his life or motivation. However, Trejo does not resent being typecast.
The first time I was ever really interviewed, she says, Danny, don't you think you're being typecast? Oh, what do you mean? That's what? Well, you're always playing the mean Chicano dude with tattoos. And I thought about it. And I said,
Hold on,
well, I
y'all.
am the mean Chicano dude with tattoos. Go with what you got. You know what I mean?
Let me
So I
finish.
wouldn't make a good
Let me finish
cartel.
watching this, and
Finest,
we'll go
I'll
into
tell
it.
you.
Holy, what the
In
fuck?
fact, throughout his career, Danny has purposely gone out of his way to take the role of the bad guy with the stipulation that they have to die or go to prison, to illustrate to the audience the potential consequences of living a
W
drug
Daddy.
and crime-ridden life, which is quite literally the exact
Machete.
opposite of the contracts that The Rock and Vin Diesel have, where they can never lose a fight and they can also never die. Trejo
Oh, he has one
officially
of those
holds the
too?
record of the most on-screen deaths of any actor, surpassing Christopher
he has
Lee's
the
record with
exact
65
opposite.
deaths to his name. However, Robert Rodriguez felt it was finally time to show the world the honest, humble, and inspiring man Trejo could be, and that character was portrayed in possibly his most iconic role of his entire career. Spy Kids is a family action-adventure film that follows Carmen and Junie Cortez, two
love
kids
these
who
movies.
discover their parents
The
are
third
retired
one is my
spies
favorite.
and must save them when they're kidnapped by a madman named Floop. The film blends comedy, high-tech gadgets, and thrilling action in a kid-friendly format. Danny Trejo's character, Machete, is Carmen and Junie's
Machete,
inventive
I
uncle.
told you.
Machete became a fan
Machete,
favorite for
sorry.
his resourcefulness and tough persona.
Thank you for letting us stay here while we ponder our parents' terrible fate.
If you were a Cortez, I wouldn't be doing this much.
So family does mean more to you than money.
No.
Dad misses you too.
Financially, Spy Kids was a major success, grossing over $147 million on a $35 million budget,
That's
leading to
crazy.
a very successful franchise
Kids
with
3.
several sequels. Culturally, it was praised for representing a Latino family in a positive, empowering way. Kids all around the world were now
Cortez.
fans of Trejo, and as you know, once you sort of become like a childhood hero, or at
Junie
least
Cortez.
a part of somebody's childhood, you basically have fans for life. There were an overwhelming amount of youngsters going up to Trejo in public, calling him Uncle Machete and asking for autographs.
That's
and it
so
was because
fire.
of his role as Uncle Machete which led to Trejo getting his biggest leading man role of his entire career. In 2007, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's double feature Grindhouse featured a fake trailer for a film called Machete. Rodriguez created the over-the-top gritty trailer as a tongue-in-cheek
Mr.
homage
Machete.
to 1970s exploitation films, featuring Trejo as Machete, a badass knife-wielding ex-federal agent. The trailer was such a hit with audiences that fans demanded a full-length movie. Danny and I couldn't go down the street without people asking for the movie. People needed it. They wanted a Latino character because they'd never seen it before. And it
It's
was like,
fire,
yeah,
bro.
why doesn't that exist? And so they got to
Machete.
work. Machete later premiered
Yes,
in 2010.
sir.
Trejo is
I remember
the
that
action
movie like it
star
came
who
out
seeks
yesterday.
revenge against corrupt politicians and criminals who have wronged him. The film boldly tackled controversial issues like immigration, racism, and the exploitation of undocumented workers. For the first time, Danny Trejo was the hero. His character is the romantic lead, the one that everyone in the audience is rooting for, without
just
having to be the Latin
just
lover type. As far as Hollywood fame and success, Danny was officially at the peak of his career. Now, most people in Trejo's position would probably expect to just become this massive action star, or at the very least getting offers for more leading man roles. But that wasn't the case. Trejo continued to accept tertiary roles and one-liners in everything from small indie films to blockbuster smashes.
That man was working.
Danny could not care less about being the main character on screen, or being typecast, or living up to some superfluous status that celebrities try so hard to maintain. He was simply grateful to be a part of any project that was offered to him.
That's a
Considering
real
his
nigga
life
right
was
there.
destined for failure from the start. Living a drug-addicted, crime-riddled existence in prison made him appreciate his second chance in an entirely different way, and he was going to make the most of it. Danny started a chain of restaurants called Trejo's Tacos.
No way.
The first restaurant opened in Los Angeles in 2016, and since then, his culinary venture has expanded to include other locations, as well as Trejo's Cantina, a cookbook, and Trejo's Coffee and Donuts. At those establishments, customers can find his own line of hot sauces, while most celebrity side ventures turn into seemingly
Rock tequila.
quick cash grabs, Danny's passion and genuine love for food has led to his products and restaurants being extremely highly rated. Trejo also ventured into the beer industry with his own brand of craft beer called Trejo Cerveza. He even launched a record label called Trejo's Music. But make no mistake, despite Danny indulging in the fruits of his labor, he has remained humble. Just a few years ago, he saved a baby from an overturned vehicle. He was nearby when a car got into an accident and the 75-year-old ran over to help the victims.
The only thing that saved that little kid was his car seat, honest to God.
A villain in the movies, but a hero in real life. Hollywood and social status mean nothing to Danny Trejo. Even though he enjoys acting, he feels it's just a job that allows him to provide a decent life for his 3 kids. Today, at 80 years old, he is grateful to be safe and 51 years sober. Not to mention, he still remains a drug counselor for others struggling with addiction to this day. That genuine authenticity is what makes people want to work with him more. It also makes him stand out from the phonies he is surrounded by.
Bro.
Trejo continues to have conversations with God. I talked to God a couple of days ago and I said, "How am I doing?" And he said, "You're almost out of hell. Keep it up. You're doing great."
Hey, bro. That's fire, bro. That's fire, bro.